Part
Okay.
2.
Here's a special thing. You can never guess the addiction this guy has because there's not one. Okay. So I'll share my screen and you can look at this chart.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think you can straight away try to answer. I told you a few placements, right? Sixth from Moon, sixth from Lagna, placement of Venus, signs of Taurus, Virgo, especially Taurus, and the second house of the chart. If you look at this guy's chart, you can understand. What do you see straight away? Most peculiar thing.
I can see a Guru Chandal Yoga. I can see a Saturn and Moon, which is again,
In the sixth
and
house.
Saturn is retrograde.
Exactly.
So, matlab morality thodi.
Is a bit down.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a Guru Chandal combination, so you can understand the sort of thoughts rolling in the head of the native. And then there's a debilitated Venus in the ascendant.
In Virgo.
All of this does add to certain medical problems, which are very prevalent in this native's life. But can you guess the addiction that this person has?
Is gambling one of it?
Yes.
And smoking.
Smoking is definitely up there. Womanizing.
Yeah, women. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Now,
women in
not
so
all
any
addiction.
planet in Virgo, I always say, especially Venus, then you're like
Venus is
split between women.
debilitation. Yes, Venus is in debilitation in Virgo. This man has had a lot of issues with females. And it's in the ascendant is why it is a very big theme in his life, because the ascendant is the personality. Now this guy has it in the ascendant. Right next to it is a Guru Chandal Yoga. Now, if the ascendant is the personality, the second house, what does this guy speak? What does he consume? And you can clearly see this guy has consumption related issues, major consumption related issues. Okay. And there's a Moon Saturn yoga. You're right, Saturn is retrograde. Now it's in its own sign. It will give him some gain, but you can see it's in the sixth house. It's a Moon Saturn combination, which is very popular for making you spend money. पैसा बह जाता है आदमी, खर्चे होते हैं. The thing is, this guy spends so much money that is not his own. Debt, another pattern in this man's life. Okay, now you can see Rahu in the second house, big money, big consumption. This guy wants the flavor of life. And when he does not have the money for it, he starts spending other people's resources. That is the problem with this person's chart. Like you again said, womanizing. He has had legal issues. You can notice Saturn and Moon in sixth from Venus.
Also because Mars in Ardra, like Ardra is for fights.
Yes, a lot of violence as well. You can say by looking at this chart, the Sun and Saturn opposition in the sixth and 12th house, this man has been to jail once and has all sorts of addiction or desire related issues. And we see very, very insane combinations for something like that already. Right away, the energy of the chart.
I'm just confused. One thing is that Sun is in Leo, right? And Sun in itself stands for morality, illumination. How does the jail combination, how did you figure that out?
That happens because of the angle of Mercury, Sun and Moon, Saturn.
Okay, got it. If Moon, Saturn was not there, then we cannot say the same thing.
Because there is such an influence in the sixth house, we can say there is some legal matter in this guy's life. It might take to jail. And plus, this 12th house is a bad place for the Sun. Because the 12th house is isolation, it is hidden from the public. Now, the Sun is a very public planet, right? It maintains a wonderful public profile. So, here it's sort of shadow covered, right? And I'm telling you all of this because very special. Venus is in Virgo where there's a Guru Chandal Yoga. We never have to look at one placement, but the whole picture of the chart sort of gives it away. So yes, this man has had legal issues, has had health-related issue, and has had drug-related problems. This is the chart of a person with, habitual consumption of something wrong. Now it can be the drugs, or it can be womanizing, multiple patterns of addiction in this guy's life.
And I've noticed if Sun is like hidden, like in a 12th house, Saturn is retro, usually morality person does a lot of immoral work. Yeah.
And you can guess immoral work. This guy has done illegal activities. And he has made a lot of money from them in his life. So all the placements tell you there's a Guru Chandal combination in the second house. Now this guy is always split with what he has to consume with money in matters of family. He misuses his family's money.
Yeah.
And then the combination in the sixth house creates the repetitive pattern where he enters debt again and again and again. It also creates legal issues. And then Venus in the ascendant is already giving him troubles related to health, because Venus will not, in debilitation, Venus will make it tough for the person to recover, right? You see, someone is very refined, strong Venus, उनको चोट लगेगी वो थोड़ा जल्दी ठीक हो पाएगा. Okay, the healing will take place quicker because Venus helps you regenerate. Now, this guy has Venus debilitated in the ascendant.
Yeah, I was going to also say he's pretty young now, he or she, I don't know. But when they get older, this Venus being debilitated will not help recover from the addictions he has.
So I generally say with one thing, whenever it's a substance addiction, one planet becomes very special is Mars. Because a substance will actually weaken the body as well. We know any addiction affects the mind, but particular ones really mess up the body.
Right.
Now, this guy, I always say, if you cross the age of 27 to 30, if you cross this age and you are still addicted to something or the other, it's a bit tough, because 27 to 30, the age is when Mars matures, right? I believe if you quit any addiction before these ages, your body can take it. But there are examples of people who've also done it after. It's just much tougher. Your body's sort of gotten into the habit of that substance. So this guy has those problems. All right. And many times this person, if we look at the angle of the 12th house, so but not jail, but isolations come into his life many times. He's been taken to rehab thrice. 3 trips to the rehab and multiple addictions. That is this guy's life. So this is a chart where you can see the cases. It's very direct when you see certain placements and when you see particular houses. You just know. Only the problem with us astrologers is that we try to see the good in everything. Right? When the matter is negative, we should try to seek out the dark side of things. So when I picked up this person's chart, I gave him a few predictions about his health instantly, and he understood what I was looking at. And then I got to know the rest.
And does he have any issue because of all these habits, with something related to stomach or lower extremities?
So Venus is in debilitation, correct? Venus is the seminal tissue, semen, right? That is what actually helps you regenerate. Now Venus is weak in the chart. Now I cannot say directly that adds up to a weakness in this man's body, but then the Moon Saturn combination shows a long illness probably. And that is correct, that this person has had issues with sexuality.
Got it.
And not being able to have children. So yes, once again, those regions are affected. Correct. And especially in a man's chart, when you see Venus is weak and it does not have very good aspects, it has bad planets in 6-8 angles to it. That most of the time creates issues with women. Many times. Even if the guy is legally okay, women will still trouble him or he will still have problems, which is what has happened in this man's life. So you can see second house, sixth house, debilitated planet in the ascendant. Very important planet too, because Venus, we talk about it for habits or addictions. Now we see the moon as well. Correct? All these angles tell us that this guy has massive problems.
Even Jupiter, which is a saving grace, usually is with Rahu.
Is with Rahu. Okay, now Jupiter is doing its job in his life. This guy will have certain bank balance or money all the time. His family will rescue him. Family is good. But the guy himself is very split-minded. He can always take the high road in life, but he doesn't. Right? His tendencies are more towards the negative traits.
And he's having his Saturn return right now, or what is it? Saturn is in Aquarius.
Sati and Saturn return at the same time. At the same time. So what I believe is this person will either face some issues for himself or for someone in his family. And that will really shake him up in his life. It's the sixth house. We know the health angle is going to play in this chart. And this guy has
even debt
problems if he does not
even debt, financial debt will play up now.
So debt keeps coming into this guy's life, and that's what the problem is. What I keep telling the person is that he should address, the remedy I've given this guy is you look at the retrograde Saturn in the sixth house, is what you said, and the morality going for a toss. So इस इंसानों को जरूरत है उसूलों की,
principles.
If he changes his lifestyle complete, as in what he eats, what he sees, right, who he hangs out with, and what he does in the entire day. That is the only solution, and he has to do it for a long time. Otherwise, the issues this man could have will require medical attention.
And I was going to add that Sadesati with Saturn return is the best time for transformation. If he wants to
If
transform
this
his
guy
life,
tried to, yes, if he tried to bring his life into order, it's a sixth house transit. If you can be disciplined, right? Routine, sixth house, what you do the entire day. क्या करते हो आप, आपका काम क्या है? Now this guy has to improve on that.
if there are these different addictions, now for first one you had a certain remedy, but which was yoga, and the second one is the whole routine needs to change. So if we can take like a few minutes and you can say if these are the kind of addiction replacements, this is the possible remedy that you can do. That, I mean, that will be really good for as a take back for the people who are watching.
The general remedy, like you said, yes, there is a general method now where one can understand their repetitive patterns, but that is based on observation, sheer observation, where a person does something like swadhyaya, looks at their own actions, looks at themselves, assesses, right? Even has it analyzed by a third party,
Right.
and then honestly takes action on them. Now, that is a very tough method. So, what I tell most people is to energize the body first. Then exercise, run. अगर शरीर में जान रहेगी तो आप आसानी से एडिक्शन को बीट कर पाओगे. Like when people do substances, they do it in the night, the next morning they wake up, their body feels weird. You feel it in your body. क्योंकि शरीर कमजोर होता है कोई किसी भी एडिक्शन से. You have a dependency. You only feel normal when that substance enters your body. So first get it out, detox. So get the body working, right? And there are rehabilitation programs for people who have gotten hardcore addictions, where they try and change your lifestyle. One has to do the same thing, all right? Take up the same measures. But doing it on your own just requires a lot of willpower. That's why I say.
I was going to come to that particular part that everything else fails if you don't have willpower to want to change.
Right, three things are very important, like I said. All right, everything depends on the consumption. Number one, what you're eating. Right. Number two, who you're with. है ना, किसके साथ बैठे हो आप, उनका भी आप पर असर पड़ेगा. Sit with saints, you become one. You sit with drug dealers, you're most likely to become one yourself.
Yeah.
And third thing is what you see. आप किस चीज से influence हो रहे हो, यानी कि सामने content क्या consume कर रहे हो. The environment, the food, everything. Yes, it does matter. Environment especially. बिल्कुल.
Yeah, and lastly, you know, you're still we in this video and especially the charts you showed, it's still showing addiction in its very visual sense, like drinking, smoking. Another addiction is coming to Gen Z, which is what I said about digital media and the TikTok
consumption of media.
TikTokization.
Their problem, exactly. How much time do they spend on the internet or in front of the screen? And it's very shocking. Leave out Gen Z. I've seen babies be hooked to cell phones, and it is an addiction right now. It's becoming one right now. There are receptors in your brain that release certain chemicals when you interact with the screen. It gives you a rush. Now, a little baby, now when you take the screen away from him, starts to get irritated. A little baby.
Yeah.
Not supposed to have this problem.
Before, ADHD was like 1 in 10 cases, and now I think the whole generation is living with ADHD. Like the
and
minute
with time, these things are increasing because there is nothing to control these influences. Okay, and be very careful with what we indulge ourselves into.
So anything you do as a pattern, if it helps your body, if it helps you grow, it's a habit, a good habit. And if it's doing you harm, it's an addiction. And I think we should focus. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what
you're right.
Over under will be. Yeah.